to go to Nigeria. What do you do when you get a phone call on a Monday with the opportunity to leave out to go on Nigeria the same week? I keep my passport in my pocketbook, so I go. So I'm here with TT and Philip, who are my hosts to Nigeria. I had the opportunity to spend time with the head of states, with the first ladies, the head of states, and I have the founder of the Refile here, TT and Philip, because his little corner in the North, in the city of Newark on Ninth Street, is probably one of it should be a part of the Newark Public Library. I'm an avid reader, so when I walk into that space and I see all the opportunity to learn in that space, I went to one of my first Kwanzaa's event at the Refile, and it's just a great place to just go learn. And we all should have learning corners in our neighborhood, so that's why I asked him to stay. But back to the reason why I'm here is to talk about my trip to Nigeria. So again, on Monday, I got a call. My colleague, Lady Ira, who was extended the invitation to go to Nigeria, was unable to attend because of her schedule. So she called and said, Donna, do you want to go? And I was like, stop playing. And I was like, for real, you playing with me? And she's like, yes. So we did what we had to do to put everything together. And one day we will expound on the whole thing of preparing to fly. Overseas. But one of the things it was an ordained trip. Everything just fell into place. My pharmacist at my local Walgreens from Nigeria. I was like, do I have to get all those shots? He was like, nah, sis, you don't. You make sure you get the malaria pills, and make sure you drink bottled water. And I had gotten the flu shot as well, but it was not. And Philip, you can talk a little bit about that, but it was just, I spent probably from Monday to Wednesday afternoon figuring out because the pharmacist didn't come until Wednesday, whether I needed to get those shots, and just to find out, it's something that you don't necessarily, it's a recommendation from the CDC that you don't necessarily have to do.
Wow.
And, and just, so, and I think what really got me to thinking is that my dad's from Jamaica and he has sickle cell, and all of his siblings have sickle cell, and we have the trait. But, something living here in the States that caused him a great sickness, if he was back in Africa, sickle cell would be in his blood to protect him. So I started thinking, because the CDC is a broad recommendation, so do we necessarily, so I guess for one group of people, make that recommendation maybe is not necessary for all groups of people. That's what, so did you want to speak to that, or did you, because you said you don't get the shots all the time, do you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Once again, good evening, everyone. My name is Philip. I want to tell you a big thank you for making the trip. I was overwhelmed. When I called my friend, who is your friend, and I told her, and she called me back. The day after, I was scared to pick a call because I know it was like a mission impossible. I know there's situational things out there, and the whole everywhere is tensed. And I know you got your schedule. You're a very busy person, and I know you got to take flu shots as a standard. The flu shots and all the preparation that goes into that. And as that their day on Tuesday, we need to also get their visa waiver. The visa waiver thing, and all of that put to place. We didn't have nothing in place.
That's right.
But I believe, like you rightly said, if God's hand in it, it's just gonna work. Everything is going to work all together for good.
And we and Ed and I will, and sometimes just I really want to talk about the CDC and these shots and everything, because as I begin to analyze it and think critically in my mind, a broad recommendation is just not for everybody, but that's going to be for another time. But you're right, everything lined up. And going to Nigeria, I know the curious was, how was it? And even as I got there, the people that you had on the ground to greet me, they were very concerned. Are you okay? Is everything okay? The perception of me being a Black woman from the States, what was my perception of going to Africa? And, it was beautiful. From a marketing standpoint, once I got off the plane, everything I saw looked like me. So that meant a lot to me. I might have to go somewhere and look for Black art and things, but everything, everything. Um, everything was just looked like me. So that was something I immediately up on the airplane, in my hotel room, on the road, everything. So that was something that I immediately noticed. I was hosted again by you, but the program I was given was from the First Lady of Kiwi State and her work with the orphanages. We went to one of the orphanages, which is a orphanage that is led by
homeless kids.
For homeless
Yeah,
kids,
Here,
so
but
they
it
are
was
martyrs.
right.
Here, the homeless kids in Africa, which is a prevalent term.
But it was the curriculum is a Muslim curriculum,
Here,
so
Yeah.
the imam was there, and when we went in, and I'll show pictures later. But one of the things that well, it was funny because we were outside talking. It was in Kabul, Kabu. Am I pronouncing it right, Kabul? Go ahead. He said we butchered the name. What's the name?
it's Abuja.
No. And the place that
Oh, Cuba.
Cuba.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
it's
Cuba.
Cuba. Yeah.
You murdered the name again.
But I was standing outside, and one of the things I had to say, I don't care where I go, if I'm in a poor Black community, I'm always concerned that that there's a vision of poverty, meaning like if I'm poor, maybe if I sweep in front of my steps, you don't in front of my house, you don't really know I'm poor. That the water drains were filled with bottles and everything. So we were outside talking about that when they invited me in. So I didn't really expect to see the baby. So it just took my heart. But it was just, I don't know, it was overwhelming. But the kids, I often say or observe that I believe that if kids have basic meals and
Yeah.
somebody to say I love you and hug them, for the most part, because they don't realize everything that, the hardship that they're in, they're probably okay. So we got to sing a little bit. I've learned that you can often teach kids to people with different languages through
Correct. Yeah.
songs. So we
Yeah.
sang a
Yeah.
song,
Correct.
and I asked the imam, "What can we do immediately to help?" And he said, we need mosquito nets, we need notebooks, and if you have any like jeans or something like that. Now we're here in America where those three things are probably in abundance to us.
Right.
If I went to 10 people and asked them to give me some extra jeans or something like that, they probably it wouldn't miss a beat, or they wouldn't even miss them. So that's something that I will be talking about next couple of days. I work with the shipping company in Orange to see if we can have people go by when the container's full, we can send it right to them. Seems like something immediately that we can do. But there's work all over. But for the most part, I learned Abuja, Lake. So in Nigeria, Lagos was originally the capital.
Yeah.
Now I
Abuja.
said Abuja since 10 years.
Administrative capital is Abuja.
Administrative capital,
Here
a
is
planned city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like New York and Washington D.C. Yeah,
Beautiful.
New York is the powerhouse.
Yeah.
I'm a New Yorker.
So and just the planned city that they made a transition based on what the need that the
Yeah.
government came to, and it's dynamic. And then I will tell you, and I just want to, and the reason because again, this brother right here, the history that he teaches, let people come into his doors. Whether you want to teach why it's important for people to for us Americans to go back to Africa, because I'm surprised that in the rooms that I've talked to, a lot of the scholars and things that I work at, they have not had the opportunity to go back. So what are we going to do to make sure, Ghana has probably opened the doors that more people are purposely thinking about going back now, and we need to make sure it's just not for a season. It needs to make sure, I know one of the things that I like that the Muslim community do, everybody generally makes Hajj to Mecca like that, and we need to, as Black people, we need to get back. I know some of my babies in here, I think most of them are from Nigeria. And as you were sitting out in the room talking to them, they're second generation and they haven't even been home yet. So
Yeah.
I want us to be prepared to go back. And as a teacher, how can you help, do that?
Well, one of the things, it's funny that you bring this up, but not so much I know about Nigeria, but in Ghana, I just talked with a sister that works in the airline that I know when I personally go over here and stay, is that my daughter wants to get dual citizenship. And now they're offering that. And so she just sent me the message yesterday of a person that we're going to hook up with so we can start to get dual citizenship for Ghana. So I'm willing to help any way that I can, whether it's in Ghana or Nigeria. You know,
Yeah. Can I say something real
Of
quick?
course, yeah.
I was gonna say this while I spoke earlier. When I spoke with Her Excellency, I said, look, if Donna makes it on the plane, please make sure you surround her with 20 cops as security. And do you know the first day, the second day when she called me, he said, have you spoken to Donna? I said, no, ma'am. I said, she's not picking my call. She said she's having fun. She don't care. She's just lost out there and she's sweating it out. Says she don't even worry about her security details. She don't worry about guns, about people surrounding her. That she's like, she goes around just like every other black woman on the street. I'm like, are you sure? Then I picked up the phone. I called Donna. I said, Donna, you okay? She screamed at me. I am doing excellent. I'm like, you sure?
I was
You
so
okay?
surprised.
I was surprised. Like, wait, what did they give to Donna? She said, Lord, what happened to her? I mean, thank you once again, Donna, for taking the risk. Thank you once again for going to Motherland. I'm proud of you.
Okay, but one of the vice president's wife,
Yeah.
she hosted us for dinner, and she asked me the question: how can we have the conversation with the the African from the continent and the African here in the States? Because our experiences are very different, but we need to understand one another and realize that we're one. We have to.
Well, I say this, our experience isn't as different as most people think. It's a little worse in Africa because when they say colonialization and they say enslavement here, it's the same thing but different play on words. Because when you can't rule your house, you're still enslaved. And what happens to the book that I brought over here is that most of the Africans, when I'm in Africa, our library is bigger than some of the libraries that they have in the States. We have more books. Most of them don't know the history and culture themselves.
In Africa.
In Africa.
You saying your library of Refill is
Yes,
bigger?
yes. Because when you go to Africa, if you was to ask them about Kemet, most of them know nothing about it. It's just like to them, Egypt is a foreign country. And anybody in Africa that's not an African is invaders to Africa. And so what happens is one of the main things that we have over there is a lack of knowledge. Same thing as here, a knowledge of self.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So yeah, you see all the billboards with the beautiful brothers and sisters. That's the beauty part of it.
Yeah.
When you go that you don't see here.
Yeah.
But they have picked up a lot of the American culture, the sisters and brothers that they shouldn't. And the big part of what's holding us back in Africa is a lot of them Western religions.
Yeah.
They know about the ancient religions. They know that, but they give that up except for certain things that happen. Then you have to go up into the village somewhere and you can meet the kings and stuff like that. And you can meet the people. See, when I go there, I didn't stay so much in the city. I stayed right in the ground with people.
Right.
So I was invited there. I even stayed with a priest. I stayed with people up in the mountains. I stayed there. But, I'll be willing to help where I can. And even when you go, when you're in Africa, when I was there and went to the dungeons and the brothers are giving a tour at the place of no return, they actually are making a speech what it be for white folks to be comfortable. I had to stop the tour to tell them, hold it, we got to tell the people the truth. You can't make Europeans comfortable off the bones what they did to our ancestors. And so I gave a whole lecture right inside there. But then the other part that most people don't know is that Africans are the first people here in America. We wasn't brought over here by the millions enslaved. When you study, the first people all over the world is African people, little Anu people, the little Twa people, the little dark-skinned people. And so it ain't these people they call Native Americans here. Even the first Celtics was African. The first Chinese is African. The first Europeans is Africans. The first Brits is Africans. First Australians is Africans. We are world people.
Yeah.
And so what happens, we don't realize that we're world people, and we are the most beautiful. When you travel, you see we the most beautiful people in the world. The most beautiful, we may not be the most knowledgeable, but we the most beautiful people in the world. And then you have to realize, I'm sitting here listening, no Africans ever had kids. That's one of the most important things you got to realize. You are college students, right?
Yes.
What does that word mean? Come on now, let's get Google it up.
Kids, isn't that like a goat?
Goats, little baby animals, and stuff like that. So now, when they start acting that way out in the street, you don't put the words have power. We call it normal, heck cow in ancient Kemet. So you actually calling them kids, and then when they act like it, you upset. My mother told me when I was small, No, you know, kid, we have children, a child. So now that uplifts the whole spirit and stuff like that. So, you know, the words that we use on each other is a reflection of what the so-called European master taught us how to even belittle ourselves, and we don't even know it. And we don't know that the spirit that these words carry. Because one thing about us, we spiritual people, so words, we take it more heavily than anybody else.
Yes.
The European can say something and be lying in a minute and just turn his back.
Yeah.
You know, the guy from Iran, the prime minister, was just saying, he say one thing when we sit down to meeting, and next thing you know, he put on a different shirt. He acting a whole lot different. You know, that was just out today. You know, so when it comes to that, the best way to get in contact, we all have to get together. And like even the Mayor Rad was saying, figure this out together.
Round table.
Because when you in Africa too, what they don't tell you is that most of their currency is controlled by other countries.
Yeah.
They're not even printing up their own money.
Yeah.
So that's why the France are coming in and do what they do when they get upset. England come there what they do, because we sometimes sit and see the power, but don't be power.
Hold that thought, because we have a caller on. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Councilwoman. How you doing?
I'm great.
This is Coach C. This is Coach C calling back in. I was calling to first encourage what the brother who was just speaking was saying. We have so much history on the mother continent. But as we move toward transformation in 2020, how do we draw into that greatness that's on the continent of Africa? And how do we pull the academic appreciation that we see people in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Senegal, all around the continent? We see that children and adults from Africa come to America very prepared.
Well,
They're very fluent in algebra. They're very fluent in multiple languages. You can ask Brother Bashir. Some of Newark Public Schools' high-performing students are born in nations where they don't have the technological resources that we have here. So to wrap it up, Miss Councilwoman, how do we begin to use the education, how do we duplicate that appreciation of education as transformation? The way that when I speak to African parents in the PTO, in the PTO at my son's school, they speak about education as if it's jewelry, as if it's the hottest mixtape out to transform their children's lives. That I think will get us out of an oppressive state if we value education the way that we see there.
Well, Carl, I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm going to thank you for your question, and I'm going to in the call right now, and I'm going to turn it over to TT, because one of the things that I immediately noticed when I was in Nigeria.
Why we're not doing it?
Wait, let me, because we're running over time, so that's why. Let me just say. So one of the things I immediately noticed, that education was probably right. It might have been water is the first thing you need, and education is the second. And I think it fell off, and education fell off probably at after people get to PhDs. That was one of the things that I immediately noticed when I was in Nigeria, that it was mandatory. But one of the things, I always say, and I'm gonna end the call, so continue to listen, sir. Is that one of the things that I also noticed, that I said that, we have this mentality of hustling. Now, I've seen hustling in a lot of places where I go, but these brothers were coming up to my car selling novels. I don't think I've ever seen anywhere where people were selling novels. I was like, yo, no, you can get this and you can get this. So, TC, tell me about, and as we close out, because we have to get to DJ Rhino, about the education. And it just shook me, like newspapers were everywhere. And the fact that somebody running up to my car for me to purchase a novel, I was like, whoa, so TC.
Yeah, because it's quite important for Nigerians to be educated. So from the preliminary stages, from the primary school, secondary school, is like normal. So it's like when you have a university degree, like your undergrad, that's like having just the basic education, and then you go further to have your master's degree, and then further to have your PhD, and then your parents are now more proud of you. Then you've done something very good. And because the market is so competitive, so education is the only thing that can give you an edge. You know, everybody's having a degree. Everybody is having a master's. Okay, I'm having a master's abroad. Everybody is having a master's abroad. Okay, what's the next thing? Okay, let's have a PhD. So that's the way it is. So everybody is, you know, it's so competitive. The job market is very limited. So education is the only thing that's, you know, push you further ahead, basically. You know.
And as I'm saying, I'll let you follow up real quick. I'm gonna let you close. Titi, she's actually in Louisiana right now, doing her doctorate right now. And I was just thinking of, as the brother just said on the call, how many people are right here and we don't understand the importance of education or appreciate it at the level that we may appreciate other things. That I just think that love now somebody knew, because guess what? There's a tax credit out there for lifetime learning. So somebody was thinking about it. So I think education is something that I think that if I don't know if you begin this love of learning, you probably will always learn. If it doesn't come to you as something, I don't know, because lifetime learning is something that I think once people fall in love with learning, that they will do. Philip?
Yeah, in addition to the question about it, just got off the phone, for we African, education begins at home. You know, so why you find a lot of black families back home, you find us with so much energy, is because we have the competition from home to outdo each other. First of all, our parents have a benchmark of first to third position in class. You don't be in your parent favorite if you don't come first to third. And when we're done with the early school, the middle school, the race continues. You have to be in the science, and from there you get to the high school, and you get a more target. The begin to move, the stake goes higher, and as you progress, and you realize all your peers and cousins all have a PhD, and you don't want to have a master's when everyone has a PhD. And then you go into the global world and realize you don't want to sit with certain, you know, level and be limited with the scope of employment and all that, and that push you to keep getting higher qualifications. And you know, and also it's just like an appeal getting to America. I realized that some black people are not driven by the purpose of education, and it's not like a zeal. To me, I believe it starts with a family value. If they family gets it right, if we have black family, like our brother rightly said, tell us our story, tell us where we coming from, our history. And like they say, charity begins at home. You know, once we get it right from home, we will be a better nation. The black nation will be a better, you know, prosperous black nation with an history, with a story.
And I think we'll stop right there. And we're going to have you back, because this is a conversation, education. But at TT and Philip, is your first time here, we have a question that we always close with. Who is your favorite hip hop artist? Come on. And you better look. Okay. I see posters all over.
Okay. Can I say?
Yes, you can.
For me, it's Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Yeah, and Rihanna, and proudly I love Davido, Nigerian artist. I love Rihanna. I love Davido. Those are my two all-time favorite.
But that's Afrobeat.
Oh, sorry. Did you say Afrobeat or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Oh, sorry. I'm not a big fan of hip hop. I used to like hip hop back in the days.
You said Tupac? Riri? Yeah, Riri's good. Okay. Go ahead.
Back in the days.
I love Beyonce.
John would be like, no Beyonce. Go ahead.
She's not hip hop artist.
Who?
Beyonce is not a hip hop artist.
I just said John would be like, no, but go ahead.
Yeah. And I love Eminem.
Okay. All right, you got that.
I love Eminem. I love Jay-Z.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay. Well, as we close, DJ Ronald, Burna Boy is a hip hop artist.
Oh, yep.
Afrobeat.
Burna Boy.
Afrobeat.
Afrobeat.
Yeah.
Oh, because I was
Yeah,
just saying,
yeah.
because they from Nigeria, and I see Burna Boy all over. Burna Boy, if you're listening, I know they from Nigeria, and they give you a shout out. I seen you all over Nigeria. So Burna Boy, I'm gonna give you a shout out. Did you tell them before? Okay, then. All right, DJ Rhino, we're gonna turn it over to you, and TT and Philip, y'all have to come back, and you have to come back with them so we can continue this conversation. Okay?
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Let me just get this.
That's it. You can sleep.
Something that you never be.